today on Beyond 6 Seconds.
People at first are very hesitant to talk about what makes them special. And it really has to be coaxed out sometimes. But once it's coaxed out, a lot of times the social media strategy presents itself, because the answer to, how should I appear on social media is be yourself. But that can be the hardest thing to do. So I really help people figure out how to do that.
Welcome to Beyond 6 Seconds, the podcast that goes beyond the 6-second first impression to share the extraordinary stories and achievements of everyday people. I'm your host, Carolyn Keel. On today's podcast, I'm speaking with Christine Gritmon. Christine is the founder of her own social media consulting company, Christine Gritmon, Inc., which helps small local businesses strategically connect with their community of customers where they already are, social media. Most of her clients are based in Rockland County, New York, and Westchester County, New York. Christine, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
So tell me about Christine Gritmon, Inc. and the services that you provide.
Sure. Well, what I mainly do is I help small business owners who are already kind of overtaxed and frequently a little bit intimidated by social media as one more thing they have to do. I help them figure it out. I help them demystify it and figure out what they're going to post and strengthen their profiles, figuring out what platforms they need to be on to begin with, and how to really use social media to work for them as opposed to them having to put a lot of work into social media.
That's great. I imagine that social media can potentially take up a lot of time, and I know small businesses are just focused on so many different things. That's great.
Absolutely. And one thing that I really work to help them figure out is how they can obtain content from things they're doing already. How they can put their existing workflow to use for them in terms of creating social media content instead of having to create a whole separate job for themselves.
That's awesome. Where did you get the inspiration to create this business?
Well, it's actually my fourth career. My first one was in the corporate beauty industry, and I did a lot of marketing support stuff. So I was already kind of a branding geek. I really like business. Mm-hmm. And then I became a freelance creative of various sorts, one of which was freelance writing, freelance local journalism, which led to an actual position in a newsroom. That was career number 3, actual journalist. And while working as a journalist, I discovered I had a natural affinity for social media, for self-promotion, for connecting with social media, but also in real life with people in the community. And I wound up actually getting promoted to a position where my job was to help other people in the newsroom with that, to promote themselves on social media, to kind of get a personal brand going, and to connect with people in real life better as well, using social media as that conduit. And after a while, I noticed people were really asking me a lot for social media advice or to speak for their organizations about social media. And my first reaction was, why are they asking me? I don't know what I'm talking about. I just kind of do it because it's so easy to have that imposter syndrome and to feel like something that comes to you naturally is without value. So first of all, I had to get over that. But then I also realized the best way to get over imposter syndrome is to study, is to really learn, okay, I kind of have a knack for this. Let's make sure I have actual expertise to back it up. And so I started really learning all I could and geeking out over it. And then I started hanging out with women in the business community. And if you hang out with entrepreneurs in particular long enough, it's contagious. You'll become one. So in May of 2016, I finally took the plunge. I got incorporated so that I wouldn't chicken out. And I quit my job. I was trying to develop it on the side for maybe a month, but I'm really bad at that. I have to go all in. And I just had all this guilt and weirdness over trying to balance two different things. So I went all in, and in May of 2016, Christine Gritmon, Inc. was born.
That's awesome. It's so fascinating to hear your career progression, because I would imagine a lot of entrepreneurs, maybe there are people in the corporate world who are kind of struggling and thinking, I really have this idea, but are afraid to take the plunge or just don't know how to take the plunge. And I think your story really illustrates that you don't have to pick one thing and stick with it forever, and that you can use all the different skills that you learned in your careers and bring that forward into your next career. So I think
and that
awesome.
is huge. The fact that I had been around marketers, I'd never been officially a marketer because they tended to stay late and use a lot of spreadsheets. But I found the fun part of marketing, and so here I am doing it.
Awesome. So You mentioned a little bit that your typical customers are generally small businesses, kind of local to your area around Rockland County,
the smaller
Westchester.
the better.
Why did you decide to focus on that particular population?
First of all, I have a lot of love for small local businesses. I'm not against corporations. I've worked for a few big corporations. They're lovely. I do shop at Target sometimes. Big corporations I'm cool with, but it's small local businesses that really give a community its character and that really fuel the economic engine of our country. And furthermore, during my time as a journalist, I really got to know a lot of small business owners because I wrote about their businesses. I got to know a lot of restaurateurs when I wrote about food. I got to know a lot of realtors when I wrote about houses and the real estate market. And, of course, boutique owners, things of that nature. So I really got to know a lot of small business owners. And now that I'm really entrenched in the local business community, we have a ton of small businesses in Rockland. We are not a particularly big business county. There are a few large companies, but we're run very heavily on small businesses here in my little county. And I love it. I get to see there's so much passion behind it, and really someone is working on their dream every day to a degree that, you can have a lot of passion for a corporation, and I'm sure, those of course all started as somebody's dream. But, I'm really interested in the dreams that I can actually help really have a tangible effect on for people.
Yeah, that's wonderful. How do you decide what services to offer? And also was wondering if the needs of a small business owner are drastically different than, say, the marketing or social needs of a medium size or a larger company.
Well, I'll answer the question about needs first. I feel like their needs are different, in particular in terms of level of polish and accessibility. I feel like if you're a large company, a large corporation, things are going to be all professional photography and perfectly crafted copy. And honestly, they kind of should be. If you're Pottery Barn, I don't really want to see someone's snapshot of their kid on their couch. I want to see models. But I feel like if you're a small local business, the opposite is sort of true. Not that it should be crummy imagery or thoughtless copy, but the fact is, if it feels a lot more homespun, if it feels like this is an actual picture that was taken in this actual place by this person who owns it, I feel like it adds to the ultimate story of a small business, which is that personal touch. When you shop at a small business, you are part of somebody's story, and the story of a small business is part of what really makes people gravitate towards it. So I feel like when it comes to the social media content, there can be a much greater sense of immediacy to it. It can feel very personal. It can feel quirky and unique. And I really, really like that about social media. And it makes it a lot more accessible for people to do themselves, which brings me to the services question. That has been an evolution. When I first started my business, I pictured that I would just be doing the social media for a whole bunch of small local businesses. I figured I would be going to restaurants and taking pictures of the food and posting about specials, and I would be at boutiques kind of artfully arranging tableau of merchandise and getting people in there to buy it. And a few things happened there. Namely, I got what I wanted, and I discovered it is really, really hard to do it well for more than a few brands at once. It's just a lot of work, because the fact is, if someone is going to have me in to take pictures of their stuff, we have to arrange it. We have to figure out a time that works for everyone, and they have to figure out what they want shot, and we set it up, and I do a whole bunch of pictures, and then we figure out what I'll post when, and oh, hey, but there's a special, or oh, hey, this thing is sold out now, so we shouldn't post it, or this is new, so we should post it. There's just so much to keep up with. So first of all, that's very labor intensive to do for too many brands at once. But then second of all, you can cut so much of that if the person just knows what to do themselves, the person who's in their business day in, day out. And I initially started offering strategy consultations as sort of a consolation prize. People who felt like the price I was charging to fully run their social wasn't something that they could swing right now. I'd say, okay, well, I'll teach you how to do it better yourself. So it started out that way. And then I realized I was getting a lot out of those sessions. My clients were getting a lot out of those sessions. Instead of making me crazy the way trying to keep up with all these different social media accounts was, it really made me feel incredible to be helping people learn how to do it themselves. And honestly, they were saving a lot of time, money, and effort. I don't think people really realize how much easier it is to just do it yourself if you know what to do. And that is the part that I'm able to provide for people. I'm able to strategize for them what they should be posting, where they should be posting it. I'm able to teach them how to read the analytics that so many social media platforms provide now that can really give you feedback on how you're doing and what you should be doing more of. And I'm reading about social media every single day and all the little nuances and shifts in the industry. And so I'm up on that, so they don't really have to be. They can learn from me, and I can help direct them, but at the same time, I don't have to literally be there day in, day out, keeping up with every little shift. They're on it and they know what to do. And it's really, really fun to see somebody who is intimidated by social media and feels like it's beyond them and it just is something that they can't do, finally get into it, especially when they fall in love with a particular platform. I've had a few people who hated social media who have fallen in love with Instagram, which is interesting. And they watch them post and they like their posts, and I'm just really happy that they're having a ball with it now and they're no longer afraid of it.
That's so valuable. And as you said before, it's really the personality and the quirkiness and the uniqueness of the small business that makes them what they are. And really, they are the ones with that content who are the best at telling the story. So your ability to guide them and help them with the platform, the analytics, and how they should strategize, I think that that's really key. And I could see how that would be a huge help to so many small businesses.
I also help people with their branding, their personal branding, kind of figuring out what is special about them and what they should put out there. Because so many places, they have trouble seeing what makes them special. And one of my subgroups that I do work with is artists and creatives. And another subgroup that has been very popular is realtors. And those are two groups of people where you are your business. Right. You are running your brand. And there are a lot of other people who do what you do. You need to figure out what makes how you do it special. How does who you are impact how you do what you do in a way that nobody else can match? So I've really learned how, and I will be forever honing this, learned how to ask the right questions to help guide people there. Because people at first are very hesitant to talk about what makes them special. And it really has to be coaxed out sometimes. But once it's coaxed out, a lot of times the social media strategy presents itself, because the answer to, you know, how should I appear on social media is be yourself. But that can be the hardest thing to do. So I really help people figure out how to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So you mentioned you started your business officially in 2016. Is that right?
Yep.
What activities were involved in getting your new business off the ground?
Well, first, before I officially took the plunge, as I said before, I had gotten pretty involved with the local small business community. In particular, a group that I'm now the vice president of marketing of, the Rockland Business Women's Network, RBWN. And so I went to several events where they had speakers who really encouraged me and really made me think about certain elements of being in business, namely things like not being afraid to stand in the value of my worth, as a speaker put it, when talking about pricing, because that was one thing that was very daunting when I was getting started, the idea of pricing. And, you know, all sorts of other things, really just thinking that stuff out a bit in those business environments was really helpful. Once I decided I was really going to go for it, I made an appointment with a lawyer to incorporate, because I said, you know, if I just treat this as a side thing, I'm going to quit. And I knew that about myself. And I said, you know what, if I go to the trouble of registering as a business, of paying a lawyer money to file paperwork, I'm a little more likely to stick with it when things get rough. And I thought I was going to be an LLC, but my lawyer recommended becoming an S Corp. And I was like, fine. I hadn't really done research on any of this. I said, okay, that works. And then as soon as I left my lawyer's office, I went to Chase and I started a business bank account. And I was like, all right, I'm in it now. And just very, very soon into my time in my business, I started it working from home. And I wasn't able to concentrate very well. And I always knew that I would eventually have an office, but I thought that I couldn't do it yet because financially it just seemed too daunting. And a perfect space opened up right in the middle of downtown Nyack, which is perfect. It's a town full of small businesses. And a perfect little spot opened up And I couldn't swing it on my own, but I wrote to at least 30 friends of mine who I knew were in similar situations. Either they were working from home and maybe it wasn't working for them either. Who knows, unless you ask. Or maybe they had some sort of flexibility. Maybe they worked for themselves. I don't know. So I wrote to a whole lot of people who were in similar situations, and it came down to 3 of us who came to this space together. And that was great because divided by 3, I could do it. And then even better, we got the rent knocked down a little bit more because our landlord has me essentially on a retainer. I help their staff with social media every month. And so we save a few $100 on the rent. So it's really staggeringly affordable. And it is in such a perfect spot. And so I've been very happy here.
It's amazing how those things come together when you make the commitment to take the plunge, and those steps of, going to the lawyer and incorporating and opening that business account really makes it real, and it makes you move forward with that step. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I was like, all right, I am in it now. And the dumb part is I'm very out there and very social and at all the events and everything. So I got my name out there in the community sufficiently. But I wasn't really marketing my business as a company. I was kind of good at marketing myself, but not Christine Gritmon Inc. Right. And shortly before my 1-year anniversary of my company, at which I served a cake with my logo on it, I had a birthday party for my company. Yeah. My 3rd baby, as I call it. Shortly before that time, I went to a conference, and it really just made me realize how much I was not doing for my business, how much I was kind of hiding it and hiding under the excuse of, well, I want to promote other people, not myself. And I realized that was not doing me any favors. So I started marketing myself, my business. I decided I'd kind of used red as a color, sort of, but I officially decided this is my shade of red. This is the actual, code of the color, and I'm going to use this on everything. And here's my fonts, and here's all these things with visual branding. I got new pictures taken. I really worked on my website a little bit more, and I started doing a few live streams a week that I do every single week. And now I'm really in the swing of marketing my company, and it's really fun and exciting. I started doing email blasts, and so I sort of feel like the whole first year in business was almost more exploratory. Yeah. It feels a lot like my company just started in recent months, and this year it's really hitting the ground running, which is very exciting.
Right. That's awesome. So you've learned quite a lot running your own business. You've had different careers where you've worked in different industries. What are the most important skills that you've developed that you're using now to run and grow your business?
Creativity is certainly up there. The ability to do research is great because people think of social media as being kind of a fluffy thing that you do for fun, but it's a pretty serious business. My intern right now is getting a degree in social media. Wow. You can do that now. So it really is a very serious segment of marketing, and there's so much research to be done, and there's so much to do there. So the ability to research has been huge. The ability to digest and then explain information, the ability to write, the ability to speak. Verbal ability is of tremendous importance in what I do, which is to really make this complex thing seem not so complex for people. And one surprising skill that I did not think that I possessed, but that this career really brings out in me, is patience. I am not a patient person, generally, in real life, but apparently in a professional context, I'm quite patient, which is great because a lot of my clients, they feel very apologetic. They feel ashamed by how little they know about social media. And a big part of my job is saying there's nothing to be ashamed of here. This is complex. This is why I have a job. I will guide you through it at your own speed. And one thing that clients really do say to me the most is, you're so patient. And it's hilarious to me because I need to bring more of this into my life. I am a mother. I am a wife. I really need to be more patient with my loved ones. But apparently professionally, I'm very patient and I'm good at explaining things to people. And that makes me very proud. And I come from a long line of teachers, so that's another part of it that's amusing to me, that I wound up essentially in a teacher position.
Those are also really strong skills for a consultant and a coach, which is a lot of what you're doing now too.
Exactly. And it really is so very, very satisfying to hear people say, thank you for having the patience to kind of go through this with me at my speed.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Speaking of helping clients overcome challenges, tell me about the biggest challenge you've faced in launching or running your own business.
The biggest challenge I've faced personally within my business was around that time when I said that I finally got what I wanted and discovered that it was way too much.
Mm-hmm.
That was huge. I really just got a crazy influx of business, and it seemed like, oh, yay. But what actually happened was I had not set proper boundaries for myself yet. I had not yet learned my limits, and I was very bad at confrontation and very, very bad at saying no.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said yes, and then dropped a lot of balls. I disappointed a lot of people, to be quite honest. I damaged some relationships. It was terrible. And that sent me into a whole spiral of anxiety and of mild depression. And that was not good, because when you are the business, you kind of can't be out of commission.
Mm.
Furthermore, when you're a small local business, your reputation is so important. And I was terrified. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do business in this town ever again because I damaged some relationships. And first of all, the worst case scenario almost never happens, right? I mean, things almost always turn out better than you think they will. So I was fine. People who are totally in with people who I was terrified were going to wreck my reputation. First of all, these are very good people, so they didn't wreck my reputation. Second of all, I'm a good person, so my reputation was bolstered by other people. And third of all, when you really do help someone, I feel like there's a lot of forgiveness there because you've fostered other goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
I actually spent a while this past December writing apology notes to several of those people who things had ended badly with when I had bitten off more than I could chew. I wrote on my personal stationery a whole bunch of notes saying, hey, as I'm looking back on 2017 and not wanting to bring some of those mistakes with me into 2018, I've taken a look at how things went with you and I in our work together, and I wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with you and to apologize wholeheartedly for letting you down. And that was really scary to do, but I think it really unlocked something in me because in 2018, I have been so much more fearless. I still am not a fan of conflict. I will work on that all the time. In fact, I have a client I need to stop working with right now who I have not been able to bring myself to call. These things happen. I am still me, but I don't know. I've just gotten so much stronger through all that, and it made me really take a look at what does and doesn't invigorate me and give back, and where I do and do not do my best work. And I'm working with a business coach right now, and she's kind of looking at things and ruthlessly being like, no, you don't do that anymore.
Wow.
Do you do that? No, I don't think you do that anymore. I mean, she's a lot more polite about it than that, but it's amazing because she's like, she is doing for me what I do for a lot of my clients when it comes to their branding, which is to say, I'm not asking what you will do. What do you want? What do you want more of? Because that is the only thing you need to put out there. People will always ask you to do the other stuff. Yeah. The stuff you don't put out there is what you do. People will ask. And it's up to you whether you say yes or no. But in terms of what you put out there, the beacons that you have blinking on your rooftop there, it has to exclusively be what you really actively want more of, not just what you will do. Mm-hmm. And I have to remind myself of that every day. And it's been incredibly freeing to learn the power of saying no and how much more good you can do when you are free to only say yes to the things that give back to you, because there will be plenty of it.
Yeah. It's true. I heard a phrase somewhere recently that every time you say no, you're really saying yes to something else, and you're saying yes to the things that you want more in your life and the things that align with your core values and your unique strengths. And it sounds like you've put in the self-reflection and building your own awareness of what that is for you. That's great.
Another thing that I really had to get past was the fear-based notion that if I said no to an opportunity, another opportunity wouldn't come up. Mm-hmm. There was always the fear that every opportunity could potentially be the last opportunity that would come my way. And that, of course, is never true. And once you get accustomed to saying no to the wrong things, more of the right things do come along. But it really took time to get there. It's kind of like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. You know, you can't believe it if someone just says it to you. You sort of have to get there yourself and go through your own journey and learn what you need to learn in order to have faith that it's true.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So looking on the other side of the coin, what would you say have been some of your most meaningful success stories you've had with your clients so far?
I absolutely love it when a client who wasn't even quite sure how to get into their social media account or who didn't even have social media accounts is now clearly enjoying posting. It's really cool to see. I've written to a couple of former clients lately who I just did a few sessions with, you know, so we don't have an ongoing thing going on. And I've written to a few of them recently and said, your Instagram feed is rocking lately. Good job. I'm proud of you, because you can tell when they turn that corner from I'm posting because I'm supposed to post something to I'm into this and I get this and I'm building this. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really, really nice to see somebody not only enjoying posting and putting out great stuff, but also seeing other people commenting on their posts and seeing their numbers go up and seeing, hey, this person is really developing their presence and they're rocking it out. And hopefully they're having business results from it.
That's exciting. You kind of see that tangible proof and that growth in people's social media feeds. That's awesome.
And I have a lot of fun with social media. It's a fun thing to me. I've never been terrified of it. So to see someone else enjoying something that I personally enjoy, you know, that's always fun.
Wonderful. So what are your goals for Christine Gritmon, Inc.?
That has also shifted. If you had asked me when I first started my business where I saw it going, I would have said, oh, I don't really plan for it to really change. I plan for it to always be just me and just doing, you know, these social media accounts for these local businesses. Yeah, no, that's completely out of the water. I want to grow. I don't know yet what path that will take. One possible path it may take is the idea of returning to doing social media for people, but not me.
Right.
Having a team under me who does it under my strategic guidance. Mm-hmm. I am not yet comfortable with managing people. I have a part-time staff of 2 right now, and I'm terrible at managing them. So that's one thing that I'm really devoting this year to learning how to do, how to delegate, how to direct, how to manage, while also mentoring. But I worry too much about the latter part, and then I don't do enough of, well, I'm trying to figure out managing. Yeah. But another thing that I really, really am focusing on this year is workshops, seminars, presentations. There are a couple big conferences I eventually really want to speak at, and so my goal is very much on those. So in the meantime, I'm using this time where I'm not at that level yet to get better at it, to do more speaking, to do more teaching, to do more appearances. And I'm already at the point where I'm not doing much for free, which is always a good start. Because of course you have to start off speaking for free usually. I'll speak for free occasionally if the opportunity is really on brand for me and if the audience is largely made up of prospective clients or, you know, if there's a relationship there. But it's been really fun to see that the direction my year seems to be taking is that I'm doing presentations and speaking engagements all the time. And I've actually set goals for myself this year, something I hadn't done before. I had never set and written down financial goals for my business. And now I have my goal of I want to make this much from this segment of my business per month, this much from this segment of my business per month. And, you know, those goals go up quarterly and here's where they'll be by the end of the year. And I'm already surpassing some of them, which is really exciting.
It's so exciting to see how your business is growing and the different direction that you're taking. How can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what you do or engage some of your services?
They should find me on social media. No. I am the only Christine Gritmon out there. That's part of why I just went with my name for my business instead of coming up with something cute, because I'm the only Christine Gritmon. If you Google Christine Gritmon, and that's Christine with a CH, and it's Gritmon with an ON, I'm the only one you'll find. I'm on Facebook, not only as myself, but also as Christine Gritmon Inc., so that's incorporated. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram as C Gritmon, so CGRITMON. And LinkedIn, of course, as well. Every professional should be on LinkedIn.
Yep.
So I'm on there as well. And my website is christine.gritmon.com.
Awesome. And I'll put your contact information in the show notes of our podcast so people can see it there as well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Christine. It was great to talk to you today. I wish you all the best of luck with the continued growth and success of your business. And thanks for spending time with us on the podcast today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Beyond 6 Seconds podcast. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes or your favorite podcast player so you won't miss any episodes. You can also find all the show notes and links we discussed in this episode at our website, www.beyond6seconds.com. Until next time.